Hello everybody, Ben Rogers here, the Raptors Digest, reacting to the Toronto Raptors 106-110 loss to the Indiana Pacers. Riker, the Toronto Raptors played really hard tonight. We're shorthanded. Obviously, the Pacers had they won the game, but they really lost with Oladipo going out. But it was an exciting game to watch, except all the negative stuff that happened.
Of course, yeah, and we'll get into the Oladipo injury in a minute, what that means for the Pacers, what it means for him. Obviously, you never wish a player to go down, even if he's a good, tough opponent. You really wish the best for him. But before we get into that, we'll start with the now famous comment of the day. Okay? And this one, it's going to segue into our first topic of conversation, but we have two that's related to it. I'll pick the one I like the most. McCaw is an underrated pick for us. He's a good defender.
Yep.
All right? And it's up on the screen who said that. I'm not going to make the attempt, but it didn't show up in the box score tonight, not offensively, right? 0 points, 0 for 1, but I mean, we can both agree that he had impact out there on the court.
Yeah.
Explain to us why. What does Patrick McCaw add to this team?
Yeah, Patrick McCaw, he comes in. He's not the most skilled. He's not the most talented player. In the video that we made when Patrick McCaw got signed, we mentioned it. He's not going to be. He might not necessarily be the best player coming off the buyout market, but he knows how to play in a winning system. He's. Despite the fact he didn't get too many minutes, he was in the Golden State rotation for a long stretch of his past 2 seasons. Maybe aside from when they brought in Swaggy P for a stretch, but he goes out there, he swings the ball at the right times, he makes phenomenal decisions, and he's an aggressive defender. He knows how to play within a good defense, and we saw it tonight when the ball was almost, as soon as it crossed half, Patrick McCaw was straight into the defender, making them uncomfortable. And the Toronto Raptors have consistently had a very good defense. And, obviously we have Kawhi this season, who isn't, going all playoff mode defense yet, but still is a phenomenal defender. But it's rare that we see our players really, pick up almost full court. And Patrick McCaw was doing that tonight. And you can really see the ball handlers of the other team get flustered by that sort of defense.
This was my one criticism of CJ Miles, was even if he completely realizes his offensive potential, I still think that he would be a bit of a liability out on defense. Now, that's the opposite case of Patrick McCaw. He has shown in, a few flashes in his rookie season when he played well for the Golden State Warriors that he's able to score. And then, as you're saying, if he's also a very capable defender, he's a guy I'd actually like to see get a couple of shots up, shoot his way through this slump, right? Because I don't know if he's made very many field goals yet now for the Raptors. And he's a guy that I'd actually like to see get a bit more run, because if he can be a 3-and-D guy, that's exactly what the Raptors could use in their bench rotation, right? And that's the reason you think CJ Miles would be a good addition if he can start playing more consistently. So hopefully Patrick McCaw. I mean, there was a lot of worries with him, of course, from the attitude side and what he expects of himself and
with the contract thing.
Yeah, exactly, and that seeping into the chemistry of the team and the locker room. But hopefully he can settle into a decent role and start making a couple buckets as well. And then we can really comment and see what Patrick McCaw could be, because we didn't know. We thought maybe he could be a toss away guy, a filler, a piece for another trade. So it's shaping up as we move along. But let's talk about Victor Oladipo, because obviously that. How do you rate that injury on a scale of, I don't know, maybe like a LeBron-esque injury where he's out for a couple days max, or maybe like a Sean Livingston injury where this is the worst thing that could possibly happen to you in your career?
Yeah, well, it was tough to tell, though. I never really caught a really good angle of the injury, see if it was super gruesome. But from what I saw, it didn't look too bad. Maybe I missed an angle, but it certainly didn't look good. When people go down with a knee injury, obviously I know from experience,
you would know about it, yeah.
Tearing my ACL and meniscus and all that sort of stuff. But, yeah, knee injuries are absolutely horrible to have. Victor Oladipo has been sidelined for a bunch of the season with, I believe it was a knee injury. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I know he's been sidelined with some lower body injuries. And apparently I was scaling through the Pacers Reddit before we started. Apparently the Pacers brought him back a bit early, so hopefully this isn't something that he completely tore an already stressed injury. So I'm just hoping Victor Oladipo comes back healthy. It's more of a scare rather than a serious thing that's going to keep him out time, because obviously the Pacers are competing with us in the standings, but you don't want to see a top-tier talent go out like that.
Absolutely not. He's a top 3 shooting guard in the East for sure.
Most definitely.
Yeah, so it's definitely, like I said, wish him the best recovery, and we'll keep with the theme of the Pacers here, obviously the victors of tonight, so we're going to expect a lower viewership tonight on the podcast. But Thaddeus Young, like you said, he went off tonight. He was really the catalyst of tonight's victory against the Toronto Raptors.
Most definitely, especially when Victor Oladipo went out, he really rallied everyone around him. Came out, had a very clutch shot over Kyle Lowry in the post. It's very rare. Despite Kyle Lowry's stature, he rarely gets scored on the post, but Thaddeus Young really threw in the dagger at the end of that game, scoring over Kyle Lowry down the block. He had 23 points, 15 rebounds for the team, was all over the court, doing everything, the hustle plays, 2 blocks, 2 steals, 3 assists, 7 offensive rebounds.
Stat sheet stuffing, Ben. He was stat sheet stuffing.
Yeah, that's what he was doing, and the Pacers earned this game. Even if the Raptors pulled this out, we're a very, very strong team, especially closing games where we might be struggling a lot throughout, but we're a very talented roster, even with the injuries. But, the Pacers play harder. Thaddeus Young really rallied the team, and they deserve this victory. So I'm not super disappointed in the Raptors because the Pacers really won this game rather than the Raptors losing it.
Fair enough. That's fair. The Raptors had that rally. They couldn't cap it off. They can't win every game. Mm-hmm. But listen, this is it's the Raptors Digest and not the Pacers Digest. So
yep.
Let's bring it into home court for a minute. Standout performances or standout moments. What do you think? What highlights do we have to bring it to maybe a positive side for the Toronto Raptors here?
Well, I think there's a lot of positives we can take away from this game. Every time we lose a game, everyone in the comments on Reddit is stressing out. Even we over-exaggerate sometimes when we lose games. But tonight, I take away more positives than negatives for the Raptors in tonight's game. Kyle Lowry looked great. He's not necessarily completely back. I won't give him that title just yet, but 20 points, 7 assists, 5 rebounds. He was all over the court. He went 3 for 7 from the 3-point line, pretty solid. And he looked like Kyle Lowry out there. He was just scrappy all over the court, not playing tentative. Because the past 2 games, I've said it on each pod that he looks more and more healthy. But the games prior to that, he just kind of looked a bit worried, a bit stiff, and that's completely fair, getting a back injection, steroid injection to, you don't want to really be messing around with your back, but he was persistent on saying that he needs to play his way through it. He needs to, play his way back into regular game form, and, I was a bit skeptical of it because if you have a chronic injury, you really don't want to aggravate it in January, but, tonight he looked very good out there. He looked similar to all-star Kyle Lowry, which is something I really like seeing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's complacency, right? You just don't want to see him settling for bad shots, and he's slowly creeping that field goal percentage back up, which is nice, right? Because that's really the only issue with his game. He's always aggressive. He's always looking to involve his teammates. He's always going to get a handful of rebounds. He's down low. You can't bully him. Even if he's defending in the post against a big guy, he does all the little things, and that's the reason that he's kind of won the hearts of all the Toronto fans, because he does all those little things. They just hate to see when he's putting in those low numbers on the scoring side. So I think we'll see it continue as long as he stays healthy, like you said, and doesn't get any more injuries. His offensive rating will continue to incline.
I just want to say, if he continues to play just even at this level, maybe not necessarily where he was in 2016 or last season, whatever. If he continue to play at this level, this is good enough to be a number 2 option on a championship team, in my opinion. With Kawhi Leonard being our number 1 guy, obviously, Pascal Siakam stepping up and being there. If Kyle Lowry can just maintain this level of aggression, scoring ability, not necessarily lighting the world on fire, but being a threat, this is exactly what we need out of Kyle Lowry.
Okay. You know what? This is the second point. If you guys are listening to it right now, this is a big topic right here. This is a big big statement to make. Mm-hmm. Ben thinks Kyle Lowry is capable of being the number 2 option on a championship team. Agree or disagree? If you're listening to now, say that you've listened to this point. This is the middle of the podcast. You're in the thick of it. Can Kyle Lowry be the number 2 option on a championship team? We can make an entire video about that.
As long as he's healthy.
As long as he's healthy, playing like he is right now. Okay, I love that point. Let's swing into the segments. We can talk about people after. That's a good way to transition into it.
For sure. Tonight, the Kawhi you do him like that play of the day. The Toronto Raptors. It was an exciting game, but the Kawhi you do him like that. We were in the 4th quarter. We were making a run down the stretch of the game. Serge Ibaka got the ball in the paint. Kyle Lowry did a great dump off to him. Serge had a great game tonight, 23 points, 11 rebounds, but he missed this kind of bunny sort of Amir Johnson shot that he usually makes. But nonetheless, the Raptors got the rebound, kicked it out to Danny Green for the clutch three. But unfortunately, it didn't translate into a win. But it brought the game close. It was a very exciting moment watching the screen. But unfortunately, we didn't get the outcome. But Danny Green hit some clutch shots. He's not the most consistent guy on a down the stretch, but he's pretty consistent. You can usually rely on Danny Green to at least come close.
What disappoints me a bit about Danny Green, though, is he's consistently a 30 to 40% shooter, and from three is like a little bit less. And I'd love him to get consistently 40 plus, and that's hard to ask from a guy that's really only taking stand-up shot. Like, he's not driving, he's not creating his own shots, so he's not able to get into like a rhythm. It's a lot easier for a player to get hot, right? If they're able to create shots, because now they're hitting from different areas of the court. If you're taking stand-up jumpers and you miss two, that's you're thinking about that, right? Now you're trying to shoot out of the slump from the same types of shots. You're not doing those easy layups. Anyways, he has potential. I just would like to see him make more baskets.
I think one of the biggest issues with Danny Green right now as well is, Kawhi Leonard being in and out of the lineup, Lowry being in and out of the lineup. He's a guy that thrives off other players getting him those open shots, as you mentioned.
That's true. Yeah,
and as we get more stability in the offense, I think Danny Green has proven he's a reliable player to hit those open shots. Create, maybe not, we can't really rely on him to create shots, as you mentioned, but to hit the open ones and not crack under pressure. My consistency point, I was more so leaning towards that. Whether it's the first quarter or the fourth quarter, he's going to give you the same sort of
he's not phased by pressure. Yeah, he's not going to come out strong and then phase out. If he's his shot will always look the same. I totally agree with that.
Mm-hmm. Most definitely. Not all plays.
Yeah, that's
it. Can be the Kawhi you do him like that play of the day, and some just make you say, "Oh, geez." And tonight, we already mentioned it. The OGs, it's going to the Oladipo injury. It sucks to see any player go out, but especially a guy at that caliber who's having a great season. Maybe not necessarily as strong of a season as last year, but still, nonetheless, leading this Pacers team. We already got into it. It sucks. We're praying for Oladipo to come back. I'm personally a fan of the Pacers, not as much as a Raptors fan, obviously, but I hate to see him go out like this.
No, absolutely, man. That's like I said, it's a breathtaking injury, not in a good way. Like you're holding your breath. Because that knee is not a place to mess around with, and of all the injuries, that's the one you don't want to wish on your enemies. So hopefully he can bounce back. But that's it. And tonight, the one, the only, the infamous, the DeMar Carroll Gold Star Award for worst performance. I'm not sure. Do you have any ideas in mind?
I have one. Greg Monroe.
Greg Monroe?
Past couple games, my guy. I really like you as a person. He seems like a fun guy in the locker room, moose and all that, but. We've mentioned how his defense has just not been there all season, but offensively he can be up and down. He hasn't really been as consistent on the offensive end to really warrant, much positive feedback as, fans watching the game. But tonight, 1 point for Greg Monroe, 1 for 4 from the free throw line, no field goals. He really, the Indiana Pacers tonight, they went super big on the Toronto Raptors. Jonas Valanciunas being out, even Chris Boucher, who's a long body, he was out. OG Anunoby is a thick guy. Kawhi Leonard, those guys are bigger wings. We were a very small team today, and it would have been a game where Greg Monroe really could have thrown his weight around, got a few rebounds, played some defense. It was an old school style basketball that the Indiana Pacers were playing. Greg Monroe just did not take advantage. We were running Pascal Siakam for center. It seemed like the whole second half when Serge Ibaka wasn't on the court, and Pascal Siakam is. A 4, maybe a smaller 4. You could argue Pascal Siakam's naturally a 3 just by slenderness.
Definitely could. Yeah.
So it was a tough watch. The Raptors, we played a bit of fastball, but the threes weren't super consistent tonight, and we just got out bullied inside by Sabonis and Turner.
Gosh, I miss Jonas though. I really do. He plays with fire, man. You can see when he's out there, and I agree. I definitely have my concerns about Greg Monroe. I think he is a nice guy, like you said, but he didn't even take a shot tonight. So he wasn't even looking to score. That's just it. And really, we're seeing Serge Ibaka be good, but he's been really good lately. Like really, really nice playing basketball. Highest scorer in tonight's game, but. I think when you put him and Jonas together, not together on the same
they're
floor,
an all-star centered together.
They're an all-star center tandem. Yep, that's it. They're one player. They're not two players.
They should get a giant onesie for Jonas and Serge. Maybe if Jonas played some more games, and just get them to stand together in the All-Star game and
oh gosh,
let them play on the court together.
Draymond Green, the next time you injure one of my favorite players, I'm gonna smack you, man, because no more karate
Watch
chops.
out, Draymond Green. Watch out.
You got a price on your head. I am coming for you with a vendetta if you start injuring more of my Toronto Raptors players. Not really, but needless injuries.
No, really.
Unnecessary. And
really.
I think the Raptors will definitely feel it for the positive, of course, when Jonas is back on the court, and I'm excited for it.
Most definitely. But before we finish off, there's another player I really want to mention, Norman Powell. He's been great. I've been saying it on every pod, seemingly. There's only been a couple bad games he's had since he's come back from injury, but hit a bunch of threes tonight, 3 threes for Norm, 12 points. I was surprised we didn't, Patrick McCaw was giving phenomenal minutes, but Norm always plays solid defense as well, and he was cooking on the offensive end, and one of the questionable moves by Nick Nurse was taking Norm out so early in the fourth quarter, especially when we were going on that run. That was just one of my takeaways, but I'm so happy to see Norm playing well, playing confident. When he's hitting the threes, because we know he can slash, and he should be able to make layups. When Norm says worst, he's not making layups. But he can consistently make the layups. When he's making threes, Norm is confident. Yeah,
no, it's absolutely true. And this is really all that I would want from Norman Powell. I don't want him to be 20 point. I mean, we're paying him enough to be a 20-point per game guy.
Yeah.
We really. But 10 to 15 points, I think that's really as much as you need to ask from Norm.
Yeah, that would be, if we could get that consistently at this quality of shooting, 4 for 9 from the field, quality percentages, that would be such an added addition. We're just waiting on that consistency from the bench, and with all the injuries and stuff, we've kind of been getting it as of late. Despite the fact we lost this game, the bench was not bad. Not bad. Well, Norm was pretty good. CJ was kind of hot and cold, but, I was happy with the Toronto Raptors play tonight.
Yeah, it's good bench performance stats.
Mm-hmm.
But we need our boys back. We need OG back. We need Kawhi back. We need JV back. We need all the fellas. And
we need Bruno back.
He's gone, man. Let
Boucher
those tears
back.
out.
We need Boucher back. He wasn't there tonight. He's been getting some run as of late. He's been playing really well.
All right. Conversation for another time.
For sure. Anyways, you guys are the best for making it this far. Check out the Twitter, the Instagram, all that cool stuff. We're reading everything. We're looking for those comments of the day. So definitely keep commenting, keep tweeting at us, keep doing whatever at us, because we're checking it out. We love all the interaction. Any last words, Riker, on this game, this season?
No last words on the game, but I apologize for wind in the background. There's a lot of wind in the office tonight, so.
Word.
That's it.
cold days in central Canada.
Oh man, it's freezing. All right,
for sure.
But nothing to warm us up like another win streak maybe for the Raptors if they get hot. So that's what we're looking forward to.
Well, we're going down to Houston next game. Let's see if we can keep James Harden under 50 points.
That's a true facts right there.
Anyways,
right,
thanks for listening.
Cheers.